Okay, so Brian's working on that. Everybody have a book because we're going to be using these books. It's YouTube, so it's just one way. And we've had quite a few viewers. There's lots of people. So is that okay, folks? Okay. And is it okay with YouTube also, Brian?
Just went live. I don't think I'm going to be able to lower the house volume and keep YouTube up, if that makes sense.
Okay, so you know what we'll do? I'll hold it a little further away because you can all hear, right? Okay, that's what we'll do. This is my fancy written cheat sheet service. Okay. Okay. No, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you, though. La 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 la. When you start getting it, join in. La 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 la. Ah, la 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 da hey da la 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 da la da 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 la da da. I'm going to be reading an excerpt from page 324 that tells us a little bit about this service and what mincha actually means, because this is the afternoon service, which is called mincha. Isaac established the mincha, the afternoon prayer, as the Torah says, Isaac went out walking, lasuach, in the field toward evening. The word lasuach also refers to prayer, as the psalmist says, a prayer of the lowly person when he is faint and pours forth his plea, siach. So the story goes that late in the afternoon, tired and faint, Isaac wandered in the fields, and he opened his heart to God. Do you remember, he asked, how I lay upon the altar of Moriah long ago? When the knife touched Isaac's neck, his soul flew out of his body in terror. But when the heavenly voice commanded, do not stretch out your hand to hurt the youth, his soul returned, and Isaac stood upon his feet, restored to life. At that moment he declared, Blessed be Adonai, who brings life to the dead. At the waning of the day, our father Isaac found himself in prayer. So may we find ourselves and you as we approach the afternoon prayer. As Isaac rose up from death, restored to life, may we come forth from this day of Yom Kippur, touched by remembrance of mortality, but full of the joy of life. Please join me on the second reading at the bottom of the page. Holy One, your light enfolds me in beauty as I enter the mincha service of this holy day. On page 325, a very narrow bridge. All the world is a very narrow bridge, and the most important thing is to not be afraid. The nigun that we hummed in the beginning, many of you recognized, is Ozi v'Zimrat Yah, which we'll sing together now. And my recollection is, and I'm sure for many of you, that during the pandemic and we were doing the services on Zoom, I thought of this as our anthem. We sang this just about every week at the end of the service. Some of us, some weeks, I think actually with our voices trembling a little bit and tears in our eyes because it was a hard time. And we had lost friends, and we had made new friends on the screen too. But it was for me, it sort of became our rallying cry, if you will. So I also thought it was a good way and for us to sing. So please join me at the bottom of the page. Ozi vezimrat Yah vayehi li leshua. 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 Adonai is my strength, my song of praise, for God has saved my life. The focus of the Mincha, the afternoon service, is the story of Jonah. And Ayla will actually be reading us the story, but Saul's going to do a little intro to it on page 343, and you can follow along. 343. And Saul, I'm going to hand the mic to you.
The book of Jonah is full of anomalies. Other biblical books contain the words of prophets sent to influence the people of Israel. Jonah is sent, instead, to speak to the people of Nineveh, capital of Assyria, Israel's archenemy. Other prophets fear that the people will not believe them. Jonah is afraid that they will believe. Other prophets expend thousands of words to warn or exhort the people without apparent results. Jonah speaks just 5 Hebrew words and achieves instant success. Other prophets stand as exemplars of courage and integrity in a corrupt society. Jonah is a rigid, narrow-minded malcontent who exhibits less compassion and moral concern than the non-Jews around him. Other prophetic books reflect a mood of impassioned solemnity. Jonah is replete with irony and comic elements. Animals who fast and wear sackcloths. A prophet who flees in the opposite direction from God's command. Who sleeps through a major storm at sea. Who spends 3 days in the belly of a fish. Who frets and fumes when a great city is saved from destruction and is more attached to a plant than to his fellow human beings. Why then do we read the book of Jonah on Yom Kippur? Because despite its farcical elements, it eloquently conveys themes appropriate to the holiest days of the year. Universalism, the intrinsic worth of all human beings, our responsibility for one another, God's compassionate care for all living things, the power of teshuvah, repentance, and the human capacity for change.
And now we'll begin the actual reading with Ayla.
Right. And the word of Adonai came to Jonah, son of Amittai. Get up, go to the great city of Nineveh, and proclaim against it, for their evil deeds have risen up before me. But Jonah got up to flee to Tarshish, away from the presence of Adonai. And he went down to Jaffa and found there a ship heading for Tarshish, and he paid its fare and went down into it, to head with them to Tarshish, away from the presence of Adonai. But Adonai hurled a great wind upon the sea, a storm at sea so great that the ship was in danger of being shattered to pieces. And the sailors were frightened, cried out, each to his own god, and flung the ship's cargo into the sea to lighten their load. But Jonah had gone down into the hold, the lower deck of the vessel, and he lay down and fell into a deep sleep. And the captain approached him and said to him, "What are you doing sound asleep? Get up, call to your God. Perhaps the God will be kind to us, and we will not perish." And they said, each man to his companion, "Let us cast lots, that we might know on whose account this evil event has come to us." So they cast lots, and the lot fell on Jonah. And they said to him, "Tell us, you who have brought this evil upon us, what is your trade, and where have you come from? What is your country, and who are your people?" And he said to them, "I am a Hebrew. I revere Adonai, God of heaven, who made sea and dry land." The men felt great fear, and they asked him, "What have you done?" Because the men knew he was fleeing from Adonai, for so he had told them. And they asked him, "What should we do for you to bring calm to the sea around us?" For the sea was growing more and more stormy. So he said to them, "Lift me up and hurl me into the sea, and the sea will calm down for you, for I know that this great storm came upon you because of me." And the crew rowed hard to return to the dry land, but they could not do it, for the sea was raging more and more fiercely around them. And they called out to Adonai, saying, "Please, Adonai, please do not let us perish because of the life of this man, and do not hold us guilty of shedding innocent blood. For you, Adonai, that which you desired, you have brought about." And they lifted Jonah and hurled him into the sea. Then the sea stopped raging. The men revered Adonai, great was their reverence. So they offered to Adonai a sacrifice and made vows. And Adonai provided a great fish to swallow Jonah, and Jonah was in the belly of the fish 3 days and 3 nights. Jonah prayed to Adonai his God from the belly of the fish, and he said, "I called to Adonai in my distress, and God answered me. I cried out from the belly of the netherworld, and you heard my voice. Into the depths you cast me, into the heart of the sea, and the floods engulfed me, all your billowing, breaking waves swept over me. And I thought to myself, I was banished from before your eyes. Will I ever gaze upon your holy temple? The waters closed in over me, the deep engulfed me, rushes wrapped around my head. I descended to the low point of the mountains, the gates of the earth closed upon me forever, yet you, Adonai, my God, raised up my life from the pit. When my life fainted away, I called Adonai to mind, and my prayer came to you, to your holy temple. They who cling to empty folly forsake their own welfare. But I, with a shout of thanksgiving, I will sacrifice to you what I have vowed I will fulfill. Rescue comes from Adonai. Adonai commanded the fish, and it spewed Jonah out upon dry land. And the word of Adonai came to Jonah a second time. Get up, go to the great city of Nineveh, and call out to it the proclamation that I tell you. So Jonah got up and went to Nineveh according to the word of Adonai. Now Nineveh was a great city of God, 3 days' journey across. And Jonah started out and made his way into the city, the distance of a 1-day walk. And he called out and said, 40 more days, and Nineveh shall be overturned. The people of Nineveh trusted in God, and they proclaimed a fast, and they put on sackcloth from the richest to the poorest. And word reached the king of Nineveh, and he got up from his throne, took off his robe, put on sackcloth, and sat in ashes. And he cried out and said in Nineveh, by decree of the king and his nobles, no person or beast, or of flock or herd, shall taste anything. They shall not graze, and they shall not drink water. They shall be covered with sackcloth, person and beast, and shall call loudly to God. Let all turn back from their evil ways and from the violence which is in their hands. Who knows? God may turn and relent. Turn back from the heat of anger, so that we do not perish. God saw what they did, how they were turning back from their evil ways, and God relented from the evil planned for them and did not carry it out. But to Jonah this was great evil, and it made him angry. So he prayed to Adonai, saying, Please, Adonai, is this not what I said when I was still in my own country? This is why I fled to Tarshish to begin with. For I knew that you are a gracious and compassionate God, endlessly patient and abounding in steadfast love, ready to repent of evil. And now, Adonai, please, take my life from me, for it is better for me to die than to live. And Adonai said, Is it good for you to be angry? Then Jonah left the city, found a place east of the city, made himself a shelter there, and sat under it in the shade until he might see what would become of the city. And Adonai Elohim provided a gourd and made it rise up over Jonah to give shade for his head and rescue him from his evil situation. And Jonah rejoiced with great joy because of the gourd. But at dawn the next day, God provided a worm that attacked the gourd, and it withered. And as the sun rose, God provided an oppressive wind from the east. The sun beat down on Jonah's head, making him faint. He begged for death, saying, "It is better for me to die than to live." Then God said to Jonah, "Are you good and angry about the gourd?" And he said, "I am good and angry to the point of death." Then Adonai said, "You pitied the gourd, which you neither worked for nor grew, which appeared overnight and perished overnight. Should I then not have compassion for the great city of Nineveh, a place of more than 120,000 human beings, unable to tell their right hand from their left, and many beasts?"
Let's just take a moment. How's our timing? Because I need to be mindful of time. We're okay. Does anyone want to just talk about that? Comment on that? I mean, he stays angry. He starts out angry, stays angry. It's very dramatic. It ends with a cliffhanger. I'm repeating things because I'm not sure. Rich, how about?
Well, for a lot of readers, it ends with a thud, and also much cattle. But, there's a theological point I'll stay away from. God is universal, including the cattle. But if you see it as a satire, with Jonah not one of these heroic figures from the rest of the 10 days, not Abraham and Isaac, not Sarah, not the high priest, but just a schlub like most of us, me anyway, and I can identify. And so I see it as a satire, it's a standard reading, and it's a nice ending theologically, and a nice ending from a literary point of view. I'll try it that way, literary point of view, in being the sort of satiric thud. It's a rare satire like Dr. Strangelove that you really, end satisfactorily. And this is a very satisfactory ending, but it doesn't seem that way at first. So I think it's really neat.
Why do you think he's still angry? I mean, he says, he runs away. I'm not gonna do this. He runs away from God. I'm not gonna do this thing. He was sent to Nineveh to save them, and he saves them. My somebody else should speak. What's your understanding? What does he get? Why is he mad at God?
For nothing to happen.
Yeah, he said you would have, right? Anyway, God. So
I think it's just the idea of it being sort of maybe a thankless job where I can. I don't. Okay. Hello, Zoomland. I think it's just the idea of it being sort of. I mean, he
YouTube thing. Did he have any reference to the flood or to Sodom and Gomorrah? Because God doesn't turn that around. He wipes out the planet with the flood. Sodom and Gomorrah, he destroys the city. So I was just wondering where that comes in. I don't know. I have no idea. Right. Right. But God gives a warning in Sodom and Gomorrah, and they don't take the warning. Nineveh does. Well, food for thought on Jonah. So here's something else that I found from a Meyer Burstein, and this really actually spoke to me because I'm watching the clock. It's 4 o'clock. I'm getting tired. I'm getting hungry. I'm getting thirsty, right? And so this is what she said. We read this book as we attempt to stand before God in the hours before Yom Kippur concludes. The majesty of Kol Nidre last night, right, was majestic, has long passed. The possibility of the dawn, our morning prayers, that has passed. The elation of our service, toward the end of the morning, that is also behind us. So where are we? We are at our thirstiest, our hungriest, our tiredest. We may wish to simply lay down and sleep, far away from the oppressive synagogue, far away from our oppressive selves, from our contradictions, our conflicts, our limited possibilities, our limitless desires. At this point in the Yom Kippur journey, we are all Jonah. The task is too great, too daunting. We want simply to have a sip of water, to sit in the shade, to be undisturbed. And yet we know that Yom Kippur is coming to a close, that the gates will soon be shut. And there is in us some eternal yearning, some unquenchable desire to achieve what we dream for ourselves, to rise to the challenge before us. We read Jonah during this afternoon service because we are Jonah at this point in our day. We have been functioning in the realm of belief that our prayers will lead to certain outcomes. That is, after all, the purpose of Yom Kippur. And yet deep within us is the desire to return home, to sleep in our beds. There is the doubt, the anger, the knowledge that we can never understand how this world works. And what's the point in trying? We read Jonah to be reminded that this tumultuous, contradictory, difficult space is in fact the space of prayer and possibility. On page 385, I think it is on. Do you want me to speak loud? He turned it down for this one. Okay. So on page 385, following to what I just read. Feel bad. It won't kill you. Use these feelings as a catalyst to make amends, so long as doing so doesn't inflict more pain. Do something positive that will help offset the damage you have caused. And you have done all you can by way of making amends, and have learned all you can from what you did. Make a solemn vow not to repeat the act. Assuming you've done all this, let it go. How? The next time the memory arises, don't give yourself over to the drama. Yes, I did that. I won't do that again. There's no point in dwelling on it, and doing so simply feeds my narcissism. Better to do something constructive with my time and energy. We have another reading now. I think this is, Doreen's going to read this. It's on 263, so you're going to have to go back in your book. I like this one. You know, this book is filled with beautiful readings. And this is why we were so glad that we finally had the wherewithal to purchase it this year. And, you know, I think for years to come, we'll all be sort of still looking back and finding new meaning. But I like this one that Doreen would call A Blessing for Menschlichkeit, because as I read it and I was looking around the room, I thought, you know what? We do this stuff. We need to take credit. The people in this room are pretty good people, and I don't think we always acknowledge that in ourselves or in our friends. So I wanted to take a minute to do that. Doreen?
Can I give a micro Yiddish lesson, because I know that much Yiddish?
Yeah.
You know Yiddish, right?
No,
Okay, so.
a word here and there.
From the little bit of Yiddish that I know, it's on for the Zoom people. Mensch means man. Menschlich is manly, that makes it an adjective, and kite makes it a noun. So Menschlichkeit is manliness, but manliness not in terms of manliness testosterone, in terms of like a mensch, you're a good doer. Sorry?
It's a good doer.
I thought kite,
It's a good doer, yes.
I thought kite was hard. It's not hard.
No, Leib is hard.
That's what people always say, be a mensch.
Be a mensch.
So do you want this made louder? Because Brian can. We had him turn it down. Do you want it a little louder? Yes.
A little bit
Brian,
louder.
sorry,
Could you
make it a little louder
a little
for
bit
us
up?
here now?
A little bit up?
I know, we're making you a little crazy.
Just a little.
We're making you a little. We know.
Just a little, 2, 3, 2, 3,
You're
little
having to
bit,
deal
little
with
bit, little bit.
Stop.
Oh, those speakers.
So a little louder for us in the room.
Okay, so that's a little bit of the Yiddish I know. Like Zis is sweet, and Ziskite is sweetness. Mies is ugly, Mieskite is ugliness. But you like it, so the kite makes it a noun.
Sure. Right. May the one who showered blessings on our ancestors rain blessings on those among us whose everyday deeds are without measure. All who honor parents and elders with love and respect, patience and sensitivity. All who give care to loved ones who are ill, and those who accompany the dying. To those who are confined, isolated, feeling despair. All who say prayers for loved ones and friends, and those whose faith inspires others to pray. All who go to Shiva Minyanim, console the bereaved, and stay to listen. All who reach out to the widowed, the divorced, the jobless. All who welcome guests to Shabbat and holiday tables, and those who share their bread with the hungry. All who donate to causes that lift up the fallen, heal the sick, and heal the home we share, this earth. All who notice others, greet newcomers, extend a hand to those with special needs. And all who open doors to the future by caring for children, keeping them safe, teaching them trust, helping them cultivate lives of meaning and purpose. On this Day of Atonement, may they be inscribed for their worthy deeds. May they be sealed for their acts of goodness and kindness. And let us say, Amen.
I bet you see yourselves somewhere in there. Maybe not everything, but I bet I see all you too. It's like a little checklist, right? Here's the other thing I thought is, oh, I don't do that. Okay, maybe I should try that one this year. Let's turn to page 390. I can't find my reading glasses. That would be a mitzvah. Are those? Okay. I'm okay. I just would like to find them. So page 397. 397, and this one spoke to me also. Hold on a minute. Oh, they're in my book. Answered prayer. Answered prayer. Remind me to tell you about Saint Joseph. Is that appropriate here? Saint Joseph? He is maybe Moises. Saint Joseph is the finder of lost items. And it would said if you would say a prayer, you'd put a little coin and say what you wanted, Saint Joseph would help you find your lost item. I think that's very appropriate on Yom Kippur. I found my glasses, so whoever provided it. All right. 397. This one spoke to me, but as I look around the room, we have so many younger people with us today, which feels pretty fantastic. However, the older we get, the greater becomes our inclination to give thanks, especially heavenward. We feel more strongly than we could have ever felt before that life is a free gift. Our hands reach out gratefully to receive the unexpected gift of each good hour. But we also feel again and again an urge to thank a friend, even if he or she has not done anything special for us. For what then? For really meeting me when we meet. For opening her eyes and not mistaking me for someone else. For opening her ears and listening carefully to what I had to say. Indeed, for opening up to me what I really wanted to address, her securely locked heart. That's good, isn't it? Yeah. I have one last prayer. Well, maybe two, just a minute. I thought I might have to edit, but we have a moment, right? Oh, we do have to transition to Yisker. So, yeah, we will. So let us do one more prayer, and then we're going to close with a prayer for peace. So please turn to page 431. This one's a little bit harder, I think, but it's powerful. And I can't remember, but I overheard somebody today, maybe it was one of you here, perhaps talking to the rabbi and saying, but there's so many awful things in the world. Can we get you something? Could somebody help? Would you, Allison, I'll bring you some. There's so many terrible things in the world. How do we look at that? And this prayer, I found this prayer in the book. It's called Try to Praise the Mutilated World. Try to praise the mutilated world. Remember June's long days and wild strawberries and drops of wine, the dew, the nettles that methodically overgrow the abandoned homesteads of exiles. You must praise the mutilated world. You watch the stylish yachts and ships. One of them had a long trip ahead of it, while salty oblivion awaited others. You've seen the refugees heading nowhere. You've heard the executioners sing joyfully. You should praise the mutilated world. Remember the moments when we were together in a white room and the curtain fluttered. Return in thought to the concert where music flared. You gathered acorns in the park in autumn and leaves eddied over the earth's scars. Praise the mutilated world and the gray feathers a thrush lost, and the gentle light that strays and vanishes and returns. And as we conclude our service, we will sing our Song of Peace on page 406. I think it's a melody most of you are familiar with for Sim Shalom. Page 406 at the top. Thank you. Sim Shalom, Tova, Uvracha. Sim Shalom, Tova, Uvracha.
Tova uvracha, sim shalom, tova uvracha, chen v'chesed verachamim, chen v'chesed verachamim, verachamim. Shalom, Tova, Uvracha, Sim Shalom, Tova, Uvracha, Aleinu,
Yisrael, Amecha, Ve'al Kol Yisrael,
Amecha, Shalom, Tova, Uvracha, Sim Shalom, Tova, Uvracha.
Thank you, everyone. It was good to be together toward the end of the day, and for me, it is the hardest part of the day because I know now we're Yisker's coming. That's difficult for all of us on some level. Ne'ilah, we start to rise and we're feeling pretty good, and then we have this glorious ending. But right now is the hardest time, at least for me. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful we're together. I think you all know that, but I just needed to say that. Thank you. And now we need to move furniture, which is very typical of Narami. We must move furniture. Yeah, they truly. Thank you, Brian. Patience. Sound on.
Russian sound engineer and to check 1, 2. Okay, are we good? Okay.
There you are.
Thank you.
You just let me know when you're ready to go. Yeah, no rush. I'll just be wallpaper. Yes. Yes. If you're up for it. Yeah. And if something changes, that's okay too. Exactly. Yeah.
Thank you, Daniel. Welcome, everyone, to our Yizkor service, this penultimate service for Yom Kippur this year. So after this, we will have our Ne'ilah service with Havdalah, and then you can go eat. So for this service, first of all, I would like to thank my lovely wife, Sharon, who put in a lot of work to get this very nice book of memory put together. She put in a lot of work for that. Also, I would like to thank everyone else in the congregation, not only for being here and supporting us, but for their own individual contributions, individually, collectively. You all are why we are all here, and we are all here for each other. And for those of blessed memory, Yizkor service. Indelibly etched in our hearts and minds, this book of memory records the names of our dear departed, whom we remember at this Yizkor service, and to whom this booklet is dedicated. Although gone to another realm, the recollection of their deeds continues to illuminate our lives. Their names appear in print, but the imprint of their lives, the love they bore for us, and the love we had for them, is indelibly etched in our hearts and minds. Marcia Cohn Spiegel writes, as we prepare for the memorial service, we must acknowledge that, for some of us, this is a particularly difficult time. Many of us mourn for loved ones whose memories are a blessing. Others of us have troublesome memories, unfinished business with those who have died. Those of us who have not reconciled ourselves with family members cannot extol their lives, exalt their memories. But we cannot live forever with bitterness, anger, or rage in our lives. While Judaism does not require that we forgive those who have perpetrated evil against us, in order to move toward shlemut, wholeness and personal integrity in our lives, we can use this time of memory for our own personal healing and growth. Kaddish is not a prayer that praises the dead, but rather a prayer that praises God and the power of God in the world. As we recite Kaddish together with Jews all over the world, we remember that death is an inevitable part of life. We mourn those who died before their time, those who died in suffering and pain, those whose lives enriched the world, and we remember the living, asking healing for all who suffer so that they can move on. I would like to invite Sharon Spielman up for Biado. I'm sorry, I'm out of order. What a nice community. I would like to invite Allison, please. Allison Williams up for a reading.
Our pain is the measure of our blessing. What we have lost is a reflection of how we have loved. They return to us, our beloved, in flashes of memory, in moments of sweet, anguished recollection. We remember the smile and grieve that it is gone. We will never again touch the hand that guided us or sought us out. Still, would we wish never to have known that hand, never to have seen that smile? God has given, God has taken away. Our pain is the measure of our blessing. Rabbi David Wolpe from Sinai Temple. And from Ecclesiastes. To everything there is a season, and a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, and a time to die. A time to plant, and a time to uproot. A time to slay, and a time to heal. A time to tear down, and a time to build up. A time to weep, and a time to laugh. A time to cry, and a time to dance. A time to throw stones, and a time to gather stones together. A time to embrace, and a time for solitude. A time to seek, and a time to lose. A time to keep, and a time to discard, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time for silence and a time to speak.
Shan ve'ayra ve'im ruchi geviati Adonai li velo ira ve'im ruchi geviati Adonai li velo ira My soul I give to you, my spirit in your care. Draw me near, I shall not fear. Hold me in your hand. Draw me near, I shall not fear, safely in your hand. My soul I give to you, my spirit in your care. Draw me near, I shall not fear. Adonai li velo ira ve'im ruchi geviati Adonai li velo ira My soul I give to you, my spirit in your care. Draw me near, I shall not fear. Adonai in your hand. Draw me near, I shall not fear. Adonai velo ira.
From Psalm 16. Keep me, Eternal One, for in you I find refuge, and in you my soul finds its peace. Guardian of all my days, you are my cup from which I drink. It's not in the book. You are my cup from which I drink, and the portion of my life. I thank you for guiding my steps, for the inner voice that instructs me. I have set you before me always. With you beside me, I cannot fail. So my heart is glad, my soul rejoices, and all of me can rest secure. For you will not abandon me in death. You show me the path of life, and your presence is fullness of joy. I would like to invite up Vera King, please, for a reading.
Each of us has a name. Each of us has a name given to us by God and given to us by our father and mother. Each of us has a name given to us by our stature and our way of smiling and given to us by our clothes. Each of us has a name given to us by the mountains and given to us by our walls. Each of us has a name given to us by the planets and given to us by our neighbors. Each of us has a name given to us by our sins and given to us by our longing. Each of us has a name given to us by our enemies and given to us by our love. Each of us has a name given to us by our fast days and given to us by our craft. Each of us has a name given to us by the seasons of the year and given to us by our blindness. Each of us has a name given to us by the sea and given to us by our death.
Another reading not in the book. Tell you up front this time. I needed to talk to my sister. I needed to talk to my sister. Talk to her on the telephone, I mean, just as I used to every morning. In the evening, too, whenever the grandchildren said a sentence that clasped both our hearts. I called, her phone rang 4 times. You can imagine my breath stopped. Then there was a terrible telephonic noise. A voice said, "This number is no longer in use." How wonderful, I thought. I can call again. They have not yet assigned her number to another person, despite 2 years' absence due to death.
Adonai rohi lo echsar binod sheyar bitseni al memenucho
Yancheni b'maglet tzedek. Yancheni b'maglet tzedek. Leman shemo. Kam kilech begetz amavet lo ira ki ata imadi shivtecha umishantecha Taroch lefanai lefanai Shulchan neged sorerai Dishanta v'shemen roshi kosi levayai Ach tov yechesed yirdefuni komechayai komechuyai Vishavti beveit Adonai leorech yamim Adonai roi lo echsar Adonai roi lo echsar
In my darkness, be a light to me. In my loneliness, help me to find a soul akin to my own. Give me strength to live with courage, and give me courage to draw blessing from life, even in the midst of suffering, to hold fast against the storm, and to smile at a loved one's glance. Rabbi Chaim Stern.
Zachartilach first? Up to you. Okay. Karata
Page 16 of your booklets, at the bottom of the page, you will see a poem by our own Frank Seiden. Love is a plant of mystical hue and fragrance. The nectar is the sweet bond of family life. Its roots hold the earth firmly beneath our feet. Love is a plant strengthened when harvested by the loving hands of succeeding generations. This love becomes a divine spark that glows from generation to generation as the mystical hue of immortality.
Tachat יקירנו, שהלכו לעולם. בעל הרחמים יסתירם בסתר כנפיו לעולמים, ויצרור בצרור חיים את נשמתם. אדוני הוא נחלתם, ויענו בשלום על משכבם, ונאמר אמן.
In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we remember them. I'm sorry, please join me on page 16 responsively. I will start again. In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we remember them. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember them. In the opening buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember them. In the blueness of the sky and in the warmth of summer, we remember them. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them. When we have joys we yearn to share, we remember them. So long as they live, we too shall live, for they are now a part of us as we remember them. I am now going to read the names from the Book of Memory. I'm going to apologize in advance if I mispronounce anyone's name. On the Yolanda Kramer Memorial Yahrzeit Board, Josephine Anselmo, William Bayless, Pearl M. Bayless, Pauline Begg, Frida Belzer, Marvin Belzer, Anne Lee Bennett, Meyer Michael Bennett, Roy Benowitz, Evelyn Berkman, Hirsch Binder, Simon Cy Blau, Francis Bluestein, Murray Bluestein, Tamara Lynn Blum, D.C., Aaron Bonderman, Margie Bonderman, Richard Samuel Brill, Naomi Elizabeth Brill, Beverly Brownstein, Lawrence F. Brownstein, Lillian Brownstein, Shulamit Bunnan, Martin Berger, David Chorna, Dora Chorna, Grace F. Cohen, Violet Miss V. Koshever, Yolanda Kramer, J. L. Crane, Francis Crane, Samuel Joshua Crane, Louis Dector, Mildred Midge Dector, Sidney Dick and Sylvia Dick, Jack Red Dinovitz, Penny Samson Dodson, James Jimmy Edwards, Lee Edwards, Mildred Rosen Enton, Victor William Epstein, Eugene Foxman, Dr. Sheldon I. Friedman, Rose G. Friedman, Samuel A. Friedman, David Martin Gershater, Elma Goldberg, Louis David Hassan, Lillian S. Hawthorne, MSW, Edward I. Hawthorne, PhD, Max M. Heller, Michael Heller, Ruth Heller, Sylvia Chorna Heller, Isabel Friedman Hoban, Patricia Ann Improta, Hannah Smith Improta, Albert Joseph Improta, Doris Kadish, Moses Mo Kadish, Alan Lewis Kaplan, Lorraine O. Kaplan, John W. Kerwin, Daniel Joseph Kerwin, John David Kerwin, Sylvia Keyes, Brandon Jeffrey King, Donald Lee King, James F. King, Judith and Herbert Coles, Stan Avram Coles, Louis Kaufman, Marvin Krantz, Natalie Krantz, Benjamin M. Lessler, Alfred Fred Levy, Sybil Cooper Levy, Cecilia Tzla Levin, A. Morris Lewine, Ella M. Lewine, Minnie Lewine, Yale S. Lewine, M.D., Morton Litt, Carol M. Lotker, Barbara Friedberg Lewis, Ida Marshak, Gerald Mechanic, Edith Medlevine, Irving Marin, Verna Marin, Anne Ethel Meseroff, Saul Meseroff, Robert D. Moore, Irene Blum Newman, Norman Newman, Bernice G. Persky, Tula Pesa, Jean Catherine Pollock, Louis and Maisie Pomerantz, Annalise Reagan, Saul I. Rosen, Theodora Rosen, Harry Rosenfeld, Lila Rosloff, Edward Sadowski, Phyllis Sadowski, Edith Schalheim, Ben Schwartz, Regina Schwartz, Marshall Schweitzer, Marilyn Seiden, Oscar Shev, Saul J. Shai, Richard Allen Silverman, Carol Katz Sobelman, Frank Ephraim Spiegel, Ernestine Spielman, Darlene L. Spiro, Shirley Sussman, Rose Weinstock, Nana Mary Wildbaum, Dr. Irving S. Yasny. Remembered by Jim and Alice Babich, Harry Babich, my apologies, Fanny Babich, Sonia Abrams, Steve Abrams, Diane Wolfe, Harry Lichtsheen, Lonnie Wolfe, Norman Gray. Remembered by Deborah and Brian Block, Dr. Charles Block, Gloria Block, Florin Coten, George Cooten, Gary Cooten. Remembered by Michael and Pamela Bogan, Edward Harris, Lenore Harris, Irving Bogan, Sarah Bogan, Alex Rudd, Harriet Dennebeim. Remembered by Elana Brief, Sandra Francis Brief, Joseph David Brief, Diana Elissa Brief, Rosalie Ann Brown, Herman Lewis Brown, Stephen Brief, Ali Mohajeri. Remembered by Dr. Walter Burstein and Dr. Gina Howie Burstein, Charles Howie, Jerry Howie, Hector Rothstein, Cora Denise Howie, Mabel Amelia Hearn, Jose Burstein, James Kelsey Howie, Berta Burstein, Bernardo Burstein, Rebecca Ozernitsky. Remembered by Brad and Elvira Cabelli, Tula Pesa, Marvin Cabelli, Lillian Cabelli, Victor Cabelli, Karen Zimmer, Melissa Mallon, Raya Desenberg. Remembered by Arla Crane, J. Lee Crane, Joshua Sam Crane, Jean Pollock Graber, Edmund Bates Borman, Sam Crane, Francis Crane, Bob Fox, Betty Fox. Remembered by Doreen Desenberg, Raya and Owen Desenberg, Sue Stevenson. Remembered by Mel and Vicki Dick, Sylvia Dick, Sidney Dick, Benjamin Dick. Remembered by Hannah Donnelly, Charles Donnelly, Abraham Klein, Frida Klein, Harry Berman, Sarah Temkin, Eva Bevarova. Remembered by Richard Ehrlich and Sandra Ehrlich Sachs, Richard M. Sachs, B. Schwartz Ehrlich, Harry Ehrlich. Remembered by the Felder family, Abe Siegel, Marion Siegel, Harlan Felder, Diane Felder. Remembered by Beth Friedman and family, Dr. Sheldon Friedman, Dr. Meyer Friedman, Fanny Friedman, Norton Friedman, Leon Lazar, Marcia Perlmutter, Julia Black. Remembered by Mark and Allison Grossman, Robert Grossman, Frank Rosen, Betty Toshman, Beatrice Sandberg, Lawrence Tashman. Remembered by Greg and Sharon Hartman, Sybil Levy, Alfred Levy. Remembered by Dr. Robert S. Improta, Patricia Ann Improta, Hannah Smith Improta, Albert Joseph Improta, Louis Smith, Fanny Smith, Soli Cohen. Remembered by Russell and Becky Kamola, Leanne Kamola, Joe Kuskaner, B. Kuskaner, Teofil Kamola, Stephanie Kamola, Vicki Michaels, Arthur K., Harriet K., Richard Horn. Remembered by Beverly Kerwin, John W. Kerwin, Daniel Joseph Kerwin, John David Kerwin, Rose and Samuel Friedman, Lila Rosloff, Viola and John H. Kerwin, Isabel Hoban, Millie Rosen Enton, Priscilla Moran. Remembered by Vera King, James King, Marcus Pravnik, Regina Pravnik, Jerry Berger. Remembered by Hannah and Shlomo Kreitzer, Jack Mauger, Sally Mauger, Rachel Kreitzer, Velvla Kreitzler. Remembered by Melvin and Franz Kuznets family. Norman Newman, Irene Newman, Louis Kuznets, Esther Kuznets, Renee Joy Kuznets, Mike Bennett, Ann Bennett, Tamara Blum Bennett. Remembered by Harriet Litt, Helga Pergament, Victor Pergament, Morton Litt. Remembered by the Mandel family, Phyllis Mandel, Staff Sergeant Abraham Mandel, USMC, David Schechtman, Clara Schechtman, Joseph L. Schechtman, Crandall Jones, Rich McQueenie, Alan Schechtman, Judy Schechtman. Remembered by the Marin family, Verna Marin, Irving Marin, Avram Marin, Bloom Marin, Roberta Borovoy, Ann D. Borovoy, Sam Borovoy, Neil Drapkin, Sam Briskin, Rebecca Briskin, Jules Briskin. Remembered by the Mezerov family, Fred Mezerov, Ben Schwartz, Fred Schwartz, Alex Schwartz, Regina Schwartz, Saul Mezerov, Anne Mezerov, Loretta Bloom. Remembered by Gaby Miller and the Miller-Sorgan family, Adam Scott Miller, Sue and Ted Sorgan. Remembered by Dr. Jack and Terry Milner, Penny Dodson, Mike Bronstone, Gertrude Horowitz Milner, Sam Milner, Howard Milner, Harold Sampson, Shirley Sampson, Molly Samovich. Remembered by Steve, Jennifer, Jacob, and Elijah Moore, and Sandra King. Brandon J. King, Donald L. King, Robert D. Moore. Remembered by the Lessler Newman family, Lily Blum, Benjamin Lessler, Gusta Ann Lessler, Augusta Lessler, Vivienne Block, Leonard Block, Norman Newman, Irene Newman, Michael Bennett, Mary Fenton, Sarah Jane Auerbach, Robert Auerbach, Ann Bennett, Tamara Blum Bennett, Julie Arnoff, Peter Orloff. Remembered by Sharon Parker, David Parker, Edna Miller, Ben Miller, Max Parker. Remembered by the Sadowski family, Edward Sadowski, Phyllis Sadowski, Sharon Chambers, Rick Chambers. Remembered by Frank Seiden, Marilyn Seiden, Dr. Herman Cohen, Beatrice Gottfried, Harry Seiden, Rebecca Seiden, Doris Hirschberg. Remembered by Frank Shapiro, Mike Shapiro, Irma Shapiro, Sarah Frank, Edith Frank. Remembered by Bonnie Shub and Moises Mercado and family, Robert E. Shub, Mark Schwade, Fritzie Schwade, Irene Kenner, Louis Kenner, Jose Mercado, Celia Nava, Betty Turner, Lilia Eva Ramirez Diaz, Jose Manuel Ramirez Diaz. Remembered by the Spielman-Dvoretsky family, Isaac Dvoretsky, Ernestine Spielman, Maurice Spielman, Rebecca Christovsky, Gil Christovsky, Louis Nachmanson, Violet Koshever, Roy Benowitz, Gitla Trockman, Bracha Stein, Jakob Scher, the painter of Vilna, Louis and Edward Dvoretsky. Remembered by the Tobin family, Michael Allen Tobin. Remembered by Ron and Serene Wallace, Glenn and Mary Wallace, Nora Thomas, Bert and Marilyn Rosenthal. Remembered by the Warren family, Earl Warren, Oscar Rumack, Anne Rumack. Remembered by Roberta Weinstein and Sulatawa, Norma Weinstein, Oscar Weinstein, Wolf Litvak, Minnie Litvak, Gregory Litvak, Herman Weinstein, Eva Weinstein, Miguel Litawa, Raymond Litawa. Remembered by Ina Wenzel and Eric Kam, Isidore I. Feinglass, Esther Feinglass, Harriet Doris Sturm, Beatrice Friedman, Isaac Friedman, Richard W. Kam. Remembered by Allison, Jeff, and A.J. Williams, James L. Williams, James Sherman Williams, Margaret Lucille Williams, Donna Gold, Roslyn Stern, Suzanne Lewis, Donna Askin, Edith and Edgar Askin. Remembered by the Warrenoff family, Michael Warrenoff, Shirley Warrenoff, Nathan Warrenoff, Claire Nadan, Hyman Nadan, Helen Mead, Larry Mead, Julian Simone. Temple Narami remembers Daniel Braverman, Arlene Cohen, Ann Cleric, Betty Fink, Betty Fox, Clara Zive, Jason Glickman, Florence Gorelick, Jack Gorelick, Daniel Honig, Cecil Honig, Lillian Isablon, Sam Tan, Molly Tan, Francis Katz, Doris Lauer, Max Lauer, Jean Chev, Nettie Zimmerman, Mo Zimmerman, Max Freifield, Stan Avram Coles, Irving Kay, Lee Edwards, Jim Edwards, Moritz and Sophie Karlebach, Emil Karlebach, Amina Karlebach, Annalise Reagan, and Shirley Sussman. Many of you, even if you don't have anyone personally on this list, may remember some of the people from the list. I know I do as I read the names. May all of their memories, each of their memories, and all of their memories, and the memories of those of you, those whom you hold in your own hearts, be a blessing. I would like to call up, please, Brian Block for a reading.
We are loved by an unending love. We are embraced by the arms that find us even when we are hidden from ourselves. We are touched by the fingers that soothe us even when we are too proud for soothing. We are counseled by the voices that guide us even when we are too embittered to hear. We are supported by the hands that uplift us even in the midst of a fall. We are urged on by eyes that meet us even when we are too weak for meeting. We are loved by an unending love, embraced, touched, soothed, and counseled. Ours are the arms, fingers, the voices. Ours are the hands, the eyes, the smiles. We are loved by an unending love.
It was supposed to be a dramatic entrance. Everyone, please rise and join me in the Mourner's Kaddish. For everyone whose names I just read, and for those of you who have other loved ones in your hearts and memories. Page 19 in the booklet, page 18 transliterated. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah, be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mavarach, le'alam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar, v'yithale, v'yithalal, shmei d'kudusha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Actually, sorry, v'chayim tovim, this is Yom Kippur. V'chayim tovim, Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Please be seated.
It's not far, just close by, through an open door. Work all done, care laid by, going to fear no more. Mother's there expecting me, Father's waiting too. Lots of folk gathered here, all the friends I knew. All the friends I knew. Shadows gone, break of day. Real life's just begun. There's no break, there's no end, just a living on. Wide awake with a smile, going on and on. Going home, going home. I'm just going home. It's not far, just close by, through an open door. I'm just going home. Going home.
Thank you, Daniel. That ends the Yizkor service, and everyone is welcome to stay for Ne'ilah service, which will begin momentarily. Thank you.
Probably pretty soon. Sure. I'll maybe give it like 2 minutes. Thank you. I'm probably going to start pretty soon. Okay. Okay, so yeah, I'll take my cue off of that then. She's gonna get popped on the set. As long as we have like most of the chairs filled in the choir, I told them might as well. If there's not enough of the choir here, then I figured no, more people out there. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think that's... No, I think it's okay. Let's just go ahead and make that call now. Thanks for coming. Yeah, of course. Good to have you here. Hopefully the drive wasn't too bad. Sure? Nice. Good. And you've got a recording session at night. I'm sure. So you can come eat with us then. Good. Yep. Yeah, I feel like I'm mostly tea at this point, because that's the only way I can get through this much singing. Yes, I think you won't be struck by mango-flavored lightning. I mean, I would be very entertained. There are worse ways. Yes. Either yes or no. Either doesn't matter to me. That's gonna be a little dinky, yeah. Actually, Julia? Let's go ahead and do it, because there's things like the Kedusha that work best when we've got at least some folks with me. Yeah, sure. So choir, if you could come and take your seats, or whatever choir members are here for this late service. And we're going to get started relatively soon. I mean, go, but we're probably going to start.
Our last opportunity for our confessionals as the gates are closing. The long day is over and the gates are closing. Slowly day fades into dusk. Soon the earth will darken. Our bodies weak and weary, our inner strength undiminished. This day has been a gift. Uncluttered time free from hurry and routine, appointments or assignments. A time to face our sins and imperfections, our dreams and yearnings for the life we want to live. A time to leave the clamor of the world and attend to the voice within. Long ago, the temple gates were locked at dusk. So too, at this hour, the gates of Yom Kippur begin to close. Have we done all that's needed to be done? Said everything that has needed to be said? The gates of God's compassion never close, but soon enough our lives close in on us. Now, in the silence of the soul, now before the holy day comes to an end, release the unshed tears, the deepest prayers locked in our heart. Pete Huli.
Pete Huli, Share Tzedek, Ahova Modea. Pete Huli, Share Tzedek, Avovam Odea. Pete Huli, Share Tzedek, Avovam Odea.
614, 615. El Nora Alila, El Nora Alila, Hamtse Lanu Hamachila, B'Sha'at Hane'ilah. Please join with me the English on page 615 together. Our Creator, God of awe, God sublime, whose deeds are true, have compassion, grant us pardon as we enter Ne'ilah. Small in number we are called, we who lift our eyes to seek you, and with trembling hearts beseech you in this hour of Ne'ilah. For you, our very life pours forth. Free us of falsehood, rid us of sin, fount of forgiveness, show us your mercy as we enter Ne'ilah. Be our true and faithful shelter, embrace us in grief, console us in pain, seal us for honor, contentment, and joy in this hour of Ne'ilah. With grace and compassion, oppose the oppressors, bring judgment to foes, oust the ones who war against us as we enter Ne'ilah. Recall our mothers, remember our fathers, renew their righteousness in our days, be near to us as you were to them in this hour of Ne'ilah. Proclaim for us a year of favor, restore the unity to your flock, return this remnant to its glory as we enter Ne'ilah. Daughters and sons, be worthy of your years. May they be many, filled with joy. Bless us, Avinu, bless us with gladness in this hour of Ne'ilah. And truly, each of us who sit or stand here, we stand on the shoulders of those who came before. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, and our grandparents and our great-great-grandparents, and those we never knew, and those we are yet to know, those who will come after us. For we stand together in pure heart, a people united with the objective of finding wholeness, of finding goodness, and creating and finding truth in this world. Page 620, Chatzi Kaddish.
Yitkadav, Yitkadash, Shemei Rabbah. Amen. Be'alma divrach Yeruteh, Be'amlich malchuteh. יום אחד וחיי דכו בית ישראל ישתבח ויפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתהלל ויתעלה שמי לקודשה ברכו לעילה ולעילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה
We will rise in just a moment for our last personal tefillah, our last personal moment of prayer in the Amidah. I invite Noni and Cam up. In just a few moments, you will be opening the ark. No, come up now. Come up now. And then we will continue on page 622. I will invite you to share your own personal prayer, and when you are ready, you are welcome to rise. When you are ready, I invite you to rise. We open the ark. This day is holy to our God. Do not be sad, for your rejoicing in the Holy One is the source of your strength. Ki kadosh hayom la'adonenu ve'el ta'atsevu ki chedvahi mu'uzchem. Page 622.
Adonai sevatai tiftach ufi agite hilatecha. Eternal God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise.
624.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu v'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, Elohei ילדים טובים וקונה הכל וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו
מקלקל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ברופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני page 628, the bottom of the page, Pitchulanu Sharet Tzedek Navovam Nodeya. Open the gates of righteousness for us. Open the gates that we may enter and praise the Eternal. Open the gates for us, for all Israel, for people everywhere. The gates of acceptance and atonement, beauty and creativity. The gates of dignity, empathy, and faith. The gates of generosity and hope, insight and joy, the gates of knowledge and love, meaning and nobility, the gates of openness, patience, and the quest for peace, the gates of renewal, song, and tranquility, the gates of understanding and virtue, the gates of wisdom and wonder, exaltation, youth, and old age, the gates of Zion, reborn and rebuilt in our time. Open the gates, open them wide. show us the way to enter. We continue Kedusha, page 634.
Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzvaot. The whole world is filled with your glory. The whole world is filled with your glory. Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzvaot. The whole world is filled with your glory. The whole world is filled with your glory. Baruch Kevod Adonai Mimkomo. Baruch Kevod Adonai Mimkomo. Baruch Kevod Adonai Mimkomo. Baruch Kevod Adonai Mimkomo. Yimloch Adonai le'olam, Elohai Tzion ledor vador. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Yimloch Adonai le'olam, Elohai Tzion ledor vador. Hallelujah, hallelujah.
Closed. You may be seated. There's a Hasidic group in Jerusalem, and they are hidden in a secular cultural center. And Yom Kippur, they bring together Hasidic wisdom. They bring together the wisdom of Tzfat, the mystics, and they bring together philosophy and rationalism all together, a huge paradox. Ne'ilah, if you ever are with them in Ne'ilah, they also bring out herbs from the garden. They bring out rosemary and thyme, fresh herbs. And traditionally in Ne'ilah, we stand the entire time. We are not standing the entire time because I think we should not stand the entire time. If you would like to stand the entire time, you're welcome to, but it's not a badge of honor. And they smell these herbs, knowing that as they come upon their 25th hour, that sustenance, the natural world, can keep them going. So I want you to remember as we go into Ne'ilah, as we come out of this Yom Kippur with whole hearts and into another year, that we have this beautiful world around us, that there are resources even when we don't see any. Page 638, Zochrenu Adonai Eloheinu vo latova, ufokdenu vo livracha, voshienu vo l'chaim. Eternal God, remember us. Be mindful of us and redeem us for a life of goodness and blessing. Favor us with words of deliverance and mercy. Show us the depth of your care, God. We await redemption, for you reign with grace and you reign with compassion. We continue page 252. With our final silent vidui, our final opportunity of confession. And then we will rise again and open the ark as we do our final confession together. 652, I invite you to take some time on your own. If you are able, I invite you to rise at this time, 652, as we open the ark. Join with me the English in the middle and bottom of the page. We are insolent, but you are compassionate and gracious. We are stubborn and stiff-necked, but you are slow to anger. We persist in doing wrong, but you are the essence of mercy. Our days are a shadow passing by, but you, your existence itself, your years never ending. Our God and God of all generations, may our prayers reach your presence, and when we turn to you, do not be indifferent. Adonai, we are arrogant and stubborn, claiming to be blameless and free of sin. In truth, we have stumbled and strayed. We have done wrong. Page 253, Ashamnu. We tap our chests. Daniel will begin with the Hebrew. We will repeat after him, and then we will do the English together. Or 653, top of the page. Page 653, join with me. Of these wrongs we are guilty. We betray, we steal, we scorn, we act perversely, we are cruel, we scheme, we are violent, we slander, evil, we lie, we ridicule, we disobey, we abuse, we defy, we corrupt, we commit crimes, we are hostile, we are stubborn, we are immoral, we kill, we spoil, we go astray, we lead others astray. 256, we continue in the English together. The top of the page, the middle of the page, and the bottom of the page. Oh, 656. That's what happens in Ne'ilah. We're going back to the beginning. No, we're not going back to the beginning. 656. And yet, from the beginning, you set us apart. We stand before you, uplifted by your unique awareness of humanity. With love, you have given us this day of atonement to make an end of moral aimlessness through pardon and forgiveness, to make an end of our abuse of power, to welcome our wholehearted return to the ways you desire. And you, in your manifold mercy, may you be merciful to us, for the world's destruction is not your desire. As it is said in the prophets, search for eternity while there is time. Cry out when God is near. Let those who do evil give up their ways and the wicked their designs. Let them return to God, who will show them compassion, to our God, whose forgiveness abounds. We continue now, 662, Avinu Malkeinu. Did we?
In the sheet. That's okay. Either way.
We continue with Sim Shalom on a page in your hearts.
Maybe if you want to sit, that's okay too. It's a longer one. Yeah.
Sim Shalom, Sim Shalom, Sim Shalom, Tova Bracha, Chen v'chesed v'rachamim, Aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael amecha. Sim Shalom, Sim Shalom. Barucheinu Avinu, kulanu kechad beor panecha. Sim shalom, shalom, sim shalom. Baruch atah Adonai. Oseh Shalom. Amen. Amen.
We rise, page 662, as the ark is again open. Avinu Malkeinu. I will be chanting the Hebrew, and then Daniel will be leading you in the English. Is that right? That's not right.
We'll do the same choreography.
Oh, we're going to do the same choreography. This is what happens when we are going through services late at night. We get all confused all over the place. Okay. Page 662.
We're going to transpose that up a little bit. Voice is getting tired. There we go.
Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Chamol aleinu, ve'al aleinu, v'tapeinu. Avinu Malkeinu,
Page 662, please join with me in the English. Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, welcome our prayer with love, accept and embrace it. Avinu Malkeinu, act for the sake of your boundless compassion. Avinu Malkeinu, act towards us as befits your name. Avinu Malkeinu, seal us in the book of sustenance and livelihood. Avinu Malkeinu, seal us in the book of worthiness and merit. Avinu Malkeinu, seal us in the book of forgiveness and pardon. Avinu Malkeinu, seal us in the book of lives well lived. Avinu Malkeinu, seal us in the book of redemption and renewal. Avinu Malkeinu, let our hands overflow with your blessing. Avinu Malkeinu, let the gates of heaven be open to our prayer. Avinu Malkeinu, renew us for a year of goodness. Avinu Malkeinu, we have no sovereign but you. Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, answer us with grace when our deeds are wanting. Save us through the acts of justice and love. Sitting at this time, I invite you to do so. We're going to spend a little bit of time with just some background music. I'm going to invite anybody who would like to take some time up here, the Torahs, with your family for a moment of meditation. There are some words on page 665 if you want to look at those words, but use the words of your heart. So we'll just have people come this direction behind the choir and then this way back to your seats. da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Ya da da. Those are all of the words. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Ya da da. Ya da da da. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Ya da ya da da ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 ya da. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 ya da da. Lift yourselves, gates of heaven. Rise high, be carried aloft, everlasting portals, that the sovereign of splendor may enter. Who is the sovereign of splendor? The eternal soul of the universe, the sublime. This is the sovereign of splendor. Kaddish Shalem, page 668. Yitkadav Yitkadash Shemei Rabbah. Be'amad Yivracharute v'yamlech malchute b'chayechon v'yamechon u'v'chayedecho Beit Yisrael ba'agala u'v'zman kariv ve'imaru. Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam olam me'omaya yitbarach. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalel shemei dekudasha b'richu le'ela mikol yirchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata damiram elma v'imeru. Amen. Kitkabel tolaton avuton dechol Yisrael kadam avuton dibishmaya v'imeru.
Amen.
Yehi Shlama Rabba min Shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru.
Amen.
O say shalom bimromav. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru. Amen. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. We continue together, page 670. If you can see behind you just a little bit. Do the English first, and then we'll do the Hebrew. We'll do the English, and then we'll do the Hebrew. If you look behind you, you can see the sun starting to set on this day of atonement, this day of joy, this day of wholeness, and this day of newness. Please join with me, page 670 in the English. We stand as one before the gates of a new year, renewed by this day of atonement, made stronger by all who are with us and by those whose presence we feel within. As the long day fades into dusk, we join our voices in words of hope and dedication. Open for us the gates of righteousness, that we may enter and praise the eternal source of life. Open for us the gates of sacred community, that we may enter and feel its healing power. Open for us the gates of truth and integrity, that we may enter and grow in faithfulness. Open for us the gates of devotion, the principle, that we may enter and find enduring values and meaning. Open for us the gates of repentance and return, that we may enter and offer our best. Open for us the gates of forgiveness, that we may enter and offer our humanity. Open for us the gates of kindness and compassion, that we may enter and offer our love. Pitchu lanu sharet tzedek navovam nodea. We continue Pitchu lanu 670. Towards the end of our service, we'll read an English reading on page 671 together. We'll open the ark and do that together, and then we will end with the Shema, which, if you go to page 672, you will see this fabulous rendition of it. Each part that we say, we will say the number of times you find it here in the Machzor. And we will end with our shofar blowing. If you are able, I invite you to rise. If you are comfortable, I invite you to rise. Everybody doing okay? You ready for the gates to close? The good news is that there's always a crack left open. Please join with me in the English on page 671. You do the living source pieces. As the Sabbath of Sabbaths end, we say from the heart, from beyond time and space, you hold out your hand to receive us. You are the sovereign of remembrance, the voice of holiness. Your presence lights the way. Shema Yisrael, hear the shofar, witness to history, thunder to our souls. Happy are those who love the sound of the shofar, its mystic chords of memory. Page 672.
Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Ruach Shem Adonai hu Elohim. 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 Tekiah. Shvarim. Teruah. Tekiah Gedolah. Lishana Haba'a, Lishana Haba'a, Lishana Haba'a, V'Yerushalayim. Lishana Haba'a, Lishana Haba'a, Lishana Haba'a, V'Yerushalayim. Lishana Haba'a, Lishana V'Yerushalayim. Lishana Haba'a, Lishana V'Yerushalayim. And you may be seated. Souls renewed and refreshed. We continue with Havdalah, Yasher Koach. I don't want to say, was anybody timing that? We are lucky that we have Daniel on our side to blow the shofar from the rooftops and the hilltops, right? To let the world know that this will be a year of growth and peace and goodness and betterment. We continue with Havdalah, page 674.
Whatever people would like to do.
At this point, whatever you would like to do in terms of Havdalah, do we have, let's see. Oh. Okay.
No. Sure. Yeah, come close. That's good.
Yes. If you are able, come on up. We separate between the sacred and the regular. And this separation is a particularly joyous one because at this moment in our year, we are spiritually whole. Let's make room for everybody. There is plenty of room for everybody if you are comfortable joining in. As I say in religious school, take 3 steps back unless you are in front of a chair. Let's get everybody in here. Page 674. I need a couple of volunteers. Somebody to hold the candle. Yes? Okay. we're going to have you do it over here. And I need somebody to hold the spice box that we should have a spicy new year.
Right back at you, Mom.
And the Kiddush cup, I will hold the Kiddush cup. If you have a machzor, it's on 674. If you don't have a machzor, that's okay too. We will lead the way.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam.
Borei pri hagafen.
Peri hagafen. Borei peri hagafen.
Ya-da-da-da.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Borei minei besamim. Borei meorei besamim. Ya-lai, ya-la-la-la-lai, ya-lai, la-la-la-la-lai, ya-lai, la-la-la-lai, ya-lai, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Borei mehorei ha'esh. Borei mehorei ha'esh. Ya-lai, la-la-la-la-lai, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Hamavdil ben kodesh lecho. Hamavdil ben kodesh lecho. Ben or lechoshech ben yom hashvi'i lesheshet yemei hamaseh. Baruch atah Adonai Hamavdil ben kodesh lecho. Hamavdil ben kodesh lecho. Chatatenu yum lecho. Zarenu v'sachpenu yarbech kachol. V'chakol chavim b'layla. Shana tova, 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 Shana tova. A good year, a year of peace. May gladness reign and joy increase. A good year of peace. goodness reign and joy increase. Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiladi, Bimhera ve'amenu, Yavo Elenu, Imoshiach ben David, Imoshiach ben David, Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiladi. Shana Tova.
We should have held on to
Group hug. Group hug.
You did a good job. You did a good job.
Awesome job.
Thank you for all your hard work. Good job. Yes.
Oh, no, you didn't get anything. We don't have enough cookware here to pull off the last hallelujah, so I think we'll leave it there. Shana Tova. Thank you. I don't think we have quite enough people to pull it off. We need a few more bodies to do a hallelujah at the end. We can do the